it is impossible to create a win-win-win-win-win scenario. What you don't want to create is a win-lose-lose, win-win-lose scenario. So I care more about creating some wins through the organization, but making sure we don't create losses while we do it. If you can create neutral to winning strategies for all of your stakeholders, guess what? The value will get spread across your organization.
Top leaders, meaningful conversation, actionable advice, bulldoze complacency, ignite inspiration, create impact. Produced by Southwestern family of companies. This is the Action Catalyst.
This episode is sponsored by Southwestern Coaching. Southwestern Coaching has helped over 12,000 people increase their incomes by over 25% on average. As a successful salesperson, you know the importance of increasing your sales, but sometimes you might just need a little extra push and accountability to meet your goals and grow your business. Southwestern Coaching will help you increase your income through one-on-one sales and leadership coaching tailored specifically to your needs. Together, we will elevate sales.
In this episode, we continue our conversation with Dave Mortensen, the president and co-founder of Self-Esteem Brands, now Purpose Brands, including fitness brands like Anytime Fitness, Orange Theory, The Bar Method, and others. Weird question. You know, you have companies that are focused on, they'll say we're consumer focused, right? We're focused on the consumer. And you have some organizations that might say we're focused on our team. And you can be focused on both. But Dave, if you were like said, hey, we're part of this culture where we focus on our team first, and through that, the customer, or we focus on the customer and do everything we can. I mean, how would you explain that relationship?
It's funny. You're a team, or you're a customer, or you're a product, right? A lot of people get enamored with their product, and that can be a gap too, because we're so enamored with what we have or what we deliver, we forget about some of the components. We obsess about stakeholder value. And stakeholder value changes year over year over year. In fact, strategy has to be aligned to your stakeholder value. And it's one of the biggest misses businesses will do, because we get really excited about an idea we have that we think is going to deliver somewhere. So an example would be, let's say we have a new customer journey, a new product we want to deliver to our customer, and our customers love it. They love it. It is like the best thing they've seen yet. Now, the but is to deliver it. It's harder for our operations people to deliver the product, and there's no gain for them. So their stakeholder value comes in. How well do you think we're going to deliver it? Even if our customers love the product and everything, but I have no value to it, and it takes me a lot more work to deliver something, and I see no gain by doing it. Guess what? Our franchisees aren't going to be attracted to that. So when we build something out, we build out what's called a stakeholder map. There's no perfection, right? The stakeholder map, you put down a stakeholder map of every stakeholder in the business, and then you take your strategic priorities, your key things, and you go, how does this impact every stakeholder? And stakeholders can be your staff. It can be you as the investors. It needs to be our franchisees. It needs to be their staff. It needs to be our customers. It needs to be our vendors, which we like to call partners. Think of all those stakeholders, and you look at the impact points. Now, it is impossible to create a win-win-win-win-win scenario. What you don't want to create is a win-lose-lose, win-win-lose scenario. So I care more about creating some wins through the organization, but making sure we don't create losses while we do it.
Yeah.
So you can balance that strategy and redefine it to strengthen it, so every stakeholder is either neutral or winning in the scenarios. And if you can create neutral to winning strategies for all of your stakeholders, guess what? The value will get spread across your organization. And every year, you're going to find out, yeah, we got to spend a little bit more time on our customer. This year, we got to spend more time on our team. And it's going to flow. But when you get too caught up on one stakeholder all the time, guess what? You're losing in other areas, and you're blinded by, and that's where you create blind spots, and you can't figure out why you're not executing that well.
And it's incredibly difficult to find decisions that net out even neutral to wins. I mean, you have to iterate and think through all these angles. Jeff Bezos says you got one-way doors and two-way doors. This is a common reference he made in building Amazon, right? These one-way doors are decisions you got to really think about, because when you walk through the portal, it's going to be real expensive if you have to walk it back, right? A merger and acquisitions. Then you got a bunch of two-way doors where, hey, if we test this, it doesn't work, we can yank it right back, minimal cost. I'm curious, what were some of those one-way doors outside of maybe the acquisitions that you made that stick in your mind as like, hey, we really had to put a lot of thought into this decision before we move through that door?
We've had many one-way doors, and sometimes we won in them and sometimes we've lost it, right? You have wins and losses on one-way doors. We love an agile approach in most of our innovations. So agile meaning, let's not build it all out. In fact, I'll give you this. I think the biggest weakness of organizations is perfection. Perfection to me is growth in advancement. So if you're always advancing forward, that is perfection. I can say one of my proudest things of Anytime Fitness over the last, what are we going on, 23, 24 years, what that may be, is that every year we've seen positive growth in our business. We've had literally positive growth for 20 plus years and positive store openings for 20 plus years, meaning every year we have more stores than we did last year. That's really, really, really hard to do, but that's been a focal point for us to make sure that we always create advancement and not try and get too caught up in perfection. Because when you try to be perfect, you miss a lot of the little pieces of the puzzle, and all of a sudden that perfection becomes really ugly, or you never advance it. A lot of times you get caught up in the wheel of perfection, and you never get ahead of the curve. I would rather, it's speed over execution. You talk about that all the time. There's no left and right. In fact, this would be, I'll go political for a moment, a world of politics. We have so many people that are far left and we have so many people far right, but I'm going to tell you all the answers are in the middle. And until we start meeting in the middle and living in the gray, which is harder to decipher because you have to hear things you don't necessarily always agree with. But guess what? If you're willing to listen to both sides and iterate something really wonderful, you live in the gray, you'll get a lot more done. When you start getting too far left, you get real enamored with a really good idea, but you're getting a lot of pushback. You're either going to try and get to the gray, which good businesses do, or you alienate the other side. When you start to do alienations, guess what? At some point in time, we're going to run into a place where you burned your culture, the business isn't flourishing, and you're sitting there scratching your head, go, oh, man, this idea is so good. Well, guess what? It wasn't that great.
Yeah, I mean, you point to something, and that's interesting. Is that we in these institutionalized businesses that we all end up creating as we scale, when you get to a certain level of leadership, you can get to this place where the institution reinforces that you're always right. It's kind of a scary place to be because you've done this, right? I mean, gosh, Dave, you built this huge business. You must now always have the right answers, and the institution kind of reinforces that, because if you say something and it sounds like you've recruited really good people who are willing to challenge you, but it might be hard to disagree with Dave because he's got this evidence to validate that he makes great decisions, right? And this leads maybe to one of my final questions before we do just a quick lightning round, which is how do you maintain a culture where people continue to challenge you in spite of your success?
One, you have to be welcome to be challenged, and you gotta embrace it and ask for it. As leaders, as we grow in leadership, less people want to challenge you, and you're absolutely right. So you need to ask them to. I need to hear your opinion. And that's where you get curious about the voice not speaking in the room. Always ask the voice not speaking what's going through their head, because that's where you're going to hear some great things. What we tell our company all the time, and I think this is important for business, is there's an 80-20 rule in almost everything you do. And I'll tell you this, great ideas for our organization do not happen at corporate, do not happen out of my mouth. They don't. 80% of the ideas that come to the table are pretty good ideas. 20% is noisy, right? We all know that. But if you go out to your field, to your customers, your franchisees, and out there, 80% of what they give you is noise. 20% is value. But guess what's in that 20%? Gold. And you got to sift through 80% of the noise to get to the gold. A lot of people aren't willing to work hard through the 80% to get to the 20%. And inside that 20%, you're going to find gold for your organization. And what they do is they get enamored with their 80% ideas at their business, and they never find gold anymore. You got to continue to strive to find gold.
That was a great point, that people can be enamored in the surveys and how we listen to our clients, and there could be, to your point, there's a lot of noise in those surveys, and they don't, it's kind of like Steve Jobs said, we listen, but at the same time, the client doesn't know what the future of the iPod is. Like, we had to imagine that, but we did in our listening find that people wanted access to music, and in there we can interpret what that might look like for the future of the business. So just quick lightning round question, Dave. This has been awesome. Technology, you brought it up as part of the reason you guys merged with Orange Theory. What technology have you been playing with that is really fascinating to you right now? What have you been tinkering with in the technology realm?
Like everyone else, AI is so intriguing right now, and we have to be learner mindset and figure out how to utilize AI. I've never sounded so smart sometimes because of AI. Yeah. AI takes what I say and makes it a lot better, right? So, but I'll say this in ideas, and I know you went into technology. I'll say AI is, everyone needs to be embracing AI. To have good AI, you have to have great data. A lot of organizations, it's something we're cleaning up even in our organization, is a data warehouse where all that information is stored. And how do you get to the information so AI can really work the engine appropriately, right? So AI is a big one. I love Blinkist for an example. You know what Blinkist is?
Yeah, it's like the short books, right?
Because my attention span is short, I need something that gets me to the answers quick, because I also am not fast at reading. So when I read, I can get bored really, really quick. Blinkist helps me. So that's something I utilize for my learning and education, because I can get to the points and operationalize them really, really quick. So tools like that for me to advance my learning is where I get really intrigued. And I know that about myself. And that's part of having self-awareness of figuring out how you best learn, and how you best educate.
And because you said you don't read full books as much, the different question I want to ask you here was, who are the people that you've spent time with over the last year or so that you've learned from in the last year?
It's funny you say that. My closest mentors in life are the people I'm closest with. An example, if someone said, who's a great mentor in your life, it'd be my business partner. He's been a mentor because he's different. He has different thinking. He'll challenge me. I'll challenge him. I would say my wife, believe it or not, my wife, because she sees life in a way. She lives in the gray. She will always take the hard route to figure things out, and keeps me grounded in my approach in life, in every aspect of life. When you look at horrible things that are happening in the world, you understand everyone wants to take a side of what that is. And we got to take less sides. And she teaches me not to take a side and actually dig deeper into the actual solutions, which makes it great. And then over the years, I've always connected myself with really smart people. And depending on what my topic is, I'm intrigued by it, I normally look and find people that have those expertise so I can grow and learn as well.
Love it. If you don't mind, just a quick follow up to that one, because you mentioned IFA. Is there a franchise that you're kind of like, hey, that's really cool? Because you guys have done extraordinary work in that. Is there a different sector, a different franchise where you really admired what they've built?
Oh, Domino's. If you don't love Domino's, and I'm not a Domino's pizza guy, but I'll eat Domino's pizza, but it's how they've taken an average pizza. Sorry, Domino's. They've taken an average pizza and found a way to deliver it better than anyone else. I mean, their operational excellence around the way they know their consumer better than anyone, and they know their consumer wants to know. They made it the easiest way to acquire a pizza. They made it an easy way to deliver and track your pizza, and they get it there fast. It's just an incredible brand. So Domino's would be one, but there are so many franchises out there, from big to small to average, that you can grow and learn from. Chick-fil-A, it blows me away that you can go on a corner with Chick-fil-A, and I know why. And by the way, if you got into their organization, guess what? They have holes too. Don't think there's any perfection out there. The day you think you found perfection is the day you got blindsided by your own business. And a lot of people do that. But a Chick-fil-A, the way they deliver, you can hit the corner of all four of those fast food restaurants, and you go into Chick-fil-A and you go, how are they? Their customer service is so much better than everybody else. They deliver that, and I'm amazed by it.
That leadership development they have is fantastic. Last one, you've come, I'm imagining it's fair to say you've come a long way in your own development of life. I imagine you definitely didn't start as a perfect human being when you were born. You probably learned a lot of lessons along the way. What do you think if you went back and advised an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old Dave Mortensen, what advice would that Dave benefit from hearing you say?
In anything you do, play the long game. I see so many, it actually concerns me today with all the things going on with equity and money. People want it faster because of all the things. Speed is so important to us. We want to get there really, really fast. But you know what? The journey, and embrace the journey. You're never going to be talking about your best balance sheet ever. You're not going to talk about how much money you made. You're going to talk about the experiences you went through the journey that you took, and embrace the journey. That is my greatest advice I can give to anyone in development. Play the long game and give yourself time to learn, grow, and experience. If you're always trying to go to what's next, you'll never get the most out of who you are.
Wow.
It's spiritual, emotional, and mental and physical health. That is my belief. I call it SEMP. People ask me all the time, what do you do to ground yourself? Spiritually, emotionally is all the relationships you have. How are my relationships doing? Mentally, I feed my brain with learning and always learning. And then last, keeping a physical, healthy body. If I do my SEMP right, I'm usually in a pretty good place. And usually if I'm not doing well, it's one of the four.
And your wife will let you know.
Oh, yeah. And she'll let me know. That's the most important relationship in my life. So if I don't have that right, the rest of the day is probably not going to go as well.
That's great. No, this was filled with wisdom. One might even say this interview is better than the one with Chuck's, since you're minorly competitive.
Well, we're competitive, so I'll take that. So.
Yeah, exactly. Dave, this was really fantastic. I appreciate you carving out the time for this conversation. I mean, you may have just inadvertently written your next book, and all the little anecdotes you just laid out. Thanks for taking the time and pouring into the audience here. Deeply appreciate it.
Well, congrats on everything you're doing. I'll look forward to listening to how this all comes together, and appreciate you taking the time with me as well.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. And to stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast, and on Twitter at Catalyst_Action. And thanks for listening.
This is your host, Adam Outland. And outside of this podcast, I'm also the leader for a division of our company, Southwestern Consulting. And our division is the Southwestern Student Coaching Program. And that division we started back in 2020 because the desire we had was to take all these skills that we've equipped executives with. For over a decade, I've coached executives and managers and sales professionals on the skills, the habits, the motivation, and the systems to be successful in their job and in life. And what we realized from working with 30, 40, 50-year-olds was if we could have gotten to them when they were in ninth grade, in middle school, in high school, and equipped them with the same things we're teaching them now, the ripple effects would be huge. And so back in 2020, we decided to formulate a coaching program for youth, equipping youth with the same types of skill development that we typically work on with adults. We just apply it to their world. And what that looks like is teaching them the study skills, the communication skills that they can use every day in the classroom and outside the classroom. Coaching them on the mindset and the motivation of someone who's a top performer. And what does that mean? It means helping a young teenager create and craft a vision for themselves. Because without a vision, we perish. But with a vision, we can be equipped with the motivation to dig into our study habits. We can see the connection between our future and the excellence that we have to form on our habits now to be successful in the long run. And we also work on the emotional intelligence. It's how we balance our emotions and manage those emotions when they come up in a way that allows us to communicate effectively with others and to communicate with ourselves. It's about equipping young people with self-talk. That means equipping them with the language that they can use to better direct their thoughts and their mind to accomplish their goals and their aims. And lastly, we equip them with the systems.
That means for us the tools, the time management, and the organization strategies to not just work hard in life, but to work smart. And when we combine all these different areas that we work with our teens on, what we find is that they form the habits early in life that allows them to achieve their goals later in life and even right now. And so our passion is to equip as many young people across this world as we can. And we're doing pretty good so far. We've got teens in 7 different countries who have been through our coaching program to date. We've worked with over 400 teens, and we would love to be able to serve you as well. Here's how it works. If you want to investigate coaching, we start with a parent consultation. That's a free call to discuss your student's particular needs and our program details. We work with Olympic athletes all the way down to teens that are just struggling to motivate themselves to do the daily work necessary in their class. So wherever your teen is, we'll meet them where they are and get them to the next level. And that starts with a parent consultation with you. A student planning session, that's the next step. If we agree that the value that coaching can bring matches your teen, then we will move to a student planning session. It's basically a free one-on-one coaching session with your teen. And that is designed to support them, but it's also designed to ask a lot of questions to help explore whether or not they want to be coached. Because at the end of the day, they ultimately have to be the one that pulls the trigger. And then after your student planning session, we get them paired with the right coach for them. We have an amazing staff of coaches from ex-Division I athletes, people who've come from the Ivy League system. We have coaches who have come from entrepreneurial backgrounds and acting backgrounds, so we can pair them with the right fit for them. And then once they partner with their coach, they'll benefit from 2 coaching sessions a month to really zone in on their personal growth and their skill development. So if you're ready to give your student the tools they need to be successful, click the link in the show notes for more information and to make sure you can schedule your free parent consultation today.